Going to try and talk to our guest once again, Kenny Imafidon, joining us from London. Tell your story for us then, Kenny. It started at the beginning. You were arrested for murder of a 17-year-old boy in London, facing 30 years behind bars. Explain to us, first of all, just how on earth you got caught up in that. What was the situation?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. So in terms of the situation, it literally happened in December 2010, just after Christmas. A murder took place in my area, and two of my close friends were arrested for that murder 2 days after. Then following that, two other of my friends were arrested and charged. On May the 7th, I turned 18, May the 7th, 2011. And then 2 days after that, I was arrested and charged for that murder as well under joint enterprise. And so I found myself in Fulham prison for a murder which I didn't commit.
I mean, in the end, the judge just throwing it out, saying there's absolutely no case to answer. But that time that you spent in jail, as you say, you were there for 6 months. I mean, it must have just been baffling to you.
And of course, it was a complete shock. And it just me being arrested for that, it turned my whole world upside down. I was currently in between the stage of like going from college to university. I was doing my end of college exams. And so I had to sit those exams in Fulham prison. So I was the first person to ever sit my A-level exams in Fulham prison. And so I just really had to push and just really fight to even get those exams done. But thank God I was able to get people inside that supported me to make that happen.
I mean, it's incredible what you've achieved since getting out of jail. I mean, you realised that you were going to be linked to what happened for the rest of your life, really, if you didn't try and do something about it. And you really fought back, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. I did my best, and thank God for the support and the community that I had around me in terms of mentors who really helped me to just navigate life, particularly after that case, because to be honest, and as you talked about, when I came out, and I talk about in the book, that Peckham Boy, I came out, I Googled my name, and I saw the things that were linked to my name. And these were all things which I didn't want to be remembered and known for, right? Particularly when I know I have not committed this particular murder. So at first, also, I felt a lot of shame at first, but then I just had to really push through and say, actually, I need to be remembered for something more than this. This was a moment in my life, but I don't want this to be the last thing I'm remembered for. So I've really done a lot in terms of, as I talk about in the book, launching the Kenny Report in the House of Commons a year after being acquitted. And also I got a 3-year scholarship to study law at BPP and through the Amos Bursary Scholarship Program. Then also I went off to set up ClearView Research, which is now a 7-figure company. I co-founded that with 2 other people who I grew up with. So it's just, life has really changed a lot. And I've been able to do a lot as well in terms of my community and give back. And as you know, I still do a lot of work in prisons as well. So we're doing a lot to even support people, because I could easily be one of those people. And I didn't mention it earlier, but 2 of my close friends, they did get found guilty for the 7 charges against us, and 1 during my case and another during a retrial. And they're still currently appealing. But it's just that could have easily been me, right? And so I never forget that. And I feel really blessed to have this second chance at life. And I feel very fortunate to be able to share the story of what happened to me, but also showing people what's happened since and showing people that distance traveled.
Yeah, you said the Kenny Report. That was a report that you did, wasn't it, into young people who drift into gangs. And it's that kind of thing that you've become very involved in. And you decided to tell all this story in your book, didn't you?
Yeah, so in the book, I very much talk about the challenges in relation to what it's like growing up in a community like Peckham. So Peckham now is it's a very fashionable and it's a very gentrified place. So a lot of people want to live there now. People are flocking to live there. But growing up, this was a very undesirable community to live like. And I'm sure a lot of people, particularly who are watching this, know about those communities that nobody wanted to live there. Now everybody wants to live there. And so for me, growing up, Peckham was just that place that no one wanted to go to. It was a no-go zone. So I'm just showing people in terms of what was it like growing up in that kind of environment. And also an environment where violence and crime, these things are just, you're just around it so much that you actually become desensitized to it as well. So I'm just really trying to paint a picture in a different way.
How difficult is it? Because I mean, we often hear from people such as yourselves who are doing their best and kind of fighting against the modern world problems, often for other people, like you are with young people. Does it sometimes feel like you're acting, a bit on your own, and you need far more help to be able to do that kind of thing?
I think that the help is more understanding that, particularly when we're talking about these communities and we're talking about children who are growing up in environments where they could easily be strayed away into a lifestyle which they shouldn't, is that we need to understand that we all need to invest in understanding that it takes a village to raise a child, right? So we all need to be invested in ensuring that we show love and give people time, and for our own children and children that are not our own. And I think for me, it's really about mentorship is very important, something that we can all do. Even everybody listening right now and everybody watching this, this is something they can all do, is mentor a young person, whether or not they're from their background or not, because we all need it, right? And that's what, for me, has been extremely valuable. I have stood on the shoulders of giants who have really helped me to elevate out of my situation and circumstance.
That's brilliant to hear. Just finally, very briefly, if you can, what next? I mean, I know one thing, you're trying to get people more involved in voting as well.
Yeah, so that's the politics stuff, and getting people more actively engaged in terms of registering and voting for me is very important. But also on the other end for me, I mean, particularly with the book, That Peckham Boy, I really want to be able to spark a conversation and challenge people to think about how they see potential in our young people, right? And particularly young people that may have lived lives that we may not agree with their actions, but helping people to understand actually there's great potential in them, right? And I think that's where I really want people to see that greatness doesn't just come from a specific place, it's all around us. So for me, it's understanding that the talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not.
Kenny, great to talk to you on the programme today. Sorry about the problems at the beginning there, but we managed to get you on at least. Kenny Imafidon joining us there with his book, That Peckham Boy.